So we've said that flowers are the reproductive organ of a plant, and let's have a little bit of a closer look at a flower. So in fact there's two main parts to a flower. One of them is called the stamen. So the stamen is actually made up of something called a filament. So that's these little thin things down here, and the filaments have got an anther on the top. And in fact, the stamen is the boy or the male part of the flower. So it's where the pollen comes from. So pollen is to a flower as I suppose sperm is to a human. Now the other important part of a flower is the carpal. So the carpal over here is made up of a stigma, which is this bit on the top in the middle of the flower here. It's also made up of a style, which is this long thing in the middle of the flower, and it's got an ovary. And you've actually maybe heard the term ovary before, because humans also have an ovary if you're a female. So a female human has an ovary. So in the ovary are really the eggs of the plant. We call them ovules. But so what happens is when plants reproduce to make new plants, there's some pollen here. There's some pollen here on the top of the anthers. And often what happens, in fact, is a little bee comes into the flower and it gets some pollen on its back, and then it goes off and flies to another flower. And the bee with the pollen on its back, some of that pollen sprinkles off the bee and it falls or goes down into this stigma, down the style, into the ovary, and fertilizes an egg. And then this ovule, in fact, has seeds in it, so they turn into seeds, and the ovary turns into fruit, and that's basically how flowers make new flowers. But the important part of it really is that flowers have got a boy part or a male part called the stamen, and they've also got a female part or a girl part called the carpal. And if there weren't flowers, there would be no more plants ever again. And that's about flowers.